request Dr. P.G. Sastry Garu to take over this session for further advice on World Environmental Day. Thank you, one and all.
Mahesh. Hello, Mahesh.
సార్ ఏముంటుందో చెప్పండి సార్, వినపడుతుంది.
మహేష్ చెప్పండి, నా స్లైడ్స్ ఇచ్చాను, ఆ స్లైడ్స్ పెట్టమనండి.
ఓకే ఓకే మహేష్.
ఓకే, అది ఎన్లార్జ్ చేయండి, స్లైడ్స్ ఎన్లార్జ్ చేయండి. Can you enlarge slides, please?
Okay, sir. You go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Respected Chairman of the State Center, Telangana State Center, office bearers of the Telangana State Center of IEI, all the participants in today's program, I welcome you all for this program on planetary boundaries, a safe operating space for humanity. Next one, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Yes. Today is the World Environment Day 2022 with the theme Only One Earth. An international conference was celebrated on human environment in 1972 in Stockholm, Sweden, exactly 50 years ago. During that conference, a decision was taken to establish World Environment Day by United Nations. Annually, on the 5th June every year, the World Environment Day is the United Nations flagship program to promote worldwide awareness and actions for the protection of the environment. The first World Environment Day was celebrated in 1974, again in Stockholm, Sweden. Being the host country, Sweden being the host country, with the theme Only One Earth. That was the first World Environment Day's theme. And again 50 years later, in 22, World Environment Day is being celebrated in Stockholm, in Sweden. Therefore, it is also called Stockholm plus 50. The theme today is again the same thing as it was earlier, only one earth. Even today it is very relevant, even after 50 years. How we have been damaging the environment of our only home, earth, and how we should take care of it. Next slide, please. Next slide. Planet Earth is our only home, whose finite and precious resources must be safeguarded without overexploitation and pollution. Above all, World Environment Day offers a global platform for inspiring positive change with an opportunity for a rethink about how we consume the Earth's finite resources, how businesses can develop greener models and transition to a greener economy, how farmers and manufacturers can produce sustainably, how governments invest in repairing and protecting our environment, how educators can inspire students to act in a more positive and sustainable way, how young people would be able to build a greener future. With these noble and laudable objectives of World Environment Day, now let us see how today's environment, Earth's environment is, our environment is. As we know, the environment is very much damaged. We have to regain, restore the environment. I shall show you in this lecture through information and developments in science how we have been indulging in the degradation of the environment. Therefore, the topic chosen is, what are the boundaries in which we have to function so that a safe operating space for humanity can be reached? And hello, there is somebody talking. Somebody talking, please. Please make it, mute it. Hello, please mute.
Venkat Narayana, please. Venkat Narayana, please. Mute yourself. Venkat Narayana.
Yes. Okay. So, this talk, hello, somebody is talking again. Okay.
Sir,
The
please mute,
contents-
sir, all of you except the speaker. Mahesh, mute everybody except speaker.
Yes. So, let us have an operating space, a safe operating space, so that we can work in that space and flourish. Earlier reports, like Club of Rome report, said that there is a limit to growth. On the other hand, this proposition of planetary boundaries, which started only 12 years ago in the whole world, it's a very, very recent topic by Stockholm Research Center. 29 scientists and engineers participated in developing this program. It has caught the attention of the whole world in these 12 years, and more than 3,500 publications have come from 100 and 150 scientists all over the world. It is today a hot topic for every one of us to work on and to decide our future, either mar it or develop it. So the contents of my talk would be threat to humanity, how it is now taking place, what are the significant processes, major processes involved in the process of the development of human earth, and then which are the control variables that govern those processes. Perhaps our state center is the only one in the country under the leadership of Mr. Brahma Reddy, which would be exposed to this very recent topic for the first time in the whole country. Next one, please. Next slide. Yes. Now, let me begin from the very beginning. The universe is about 13.6 billion years old. And then the solar system, including our planet Earth, came into existence about 4.6 billion years ago. After about 9 billion years after the Big Bang that caused the universe origin. But life on this earth started again about 1 billion years later. That means about 3.6 billion years ago, the life on the earth started. On the left of these two pictures, you would see the geological time scale. How in these 4.8 billion years, how the earth progressed. This division is taking place in this way. Eons, larger bodies of time, eras, then periods, then epochs. That is how geologically the time scale is divided. Today, we are in the Phanerozoic eon, Cenozoic era, and in Quaternary period, and in Holocene epoch. Holocene epoch started about 2.6 million years ago. All this data is very necessary for understanding this topic. On the right side, you see a graph. The y-axis is the stability. Right side y-axis, you see the temperature variation. The stability of the earth indicated by the climate and the temperature. The x-axis shows the time axis. The right hand bottom corner is the present day, today. It is the origin. That is the origin. So the first 10 years, when you proceed from the origin leftward, the first 10 kilo years, that means 10,000 years back, in this 10,000 years period, the epoch is Holocene epoch. That's the present epoch which we are enjoying. Before that epoch, Pleistocene epoch was there. The Pleistocene epoch is about 2.6 billion years period. I have shown only about 90,000 years only, about 1 lakh years only of that epoch here, left of the Holocene, Pleistocene. In this graph, you see two very important variables. One variable, as you see in the Pleistocene epoch, the temperature is fluctuating very much violently. That means in Pleistocene period, 2 million years, the temperature was never stable. Large temperatures followed by very low temperatures. That is how it was going. That means number of glacial periods. The whole earth or major part of the earth, here or elsewhere, was covered completely with ice layer. They are called ice ages, followed by interglacial periods. Very unstable period, this Pleistocene. And man already, the modern man, whom we call as Homo sapien is 2 lakh years of age. So 2 lakh years, in this 2 million years, man, Homo sapien, modern human being, is in existence. However, there was no development possible because it was so uncertain period, totally disturbed climate-wise. Only people were thinking about how to live. What is today's food? How can I get tomorrow's food? That was the main thinking in those periods. For the first 2 lakh years, man was never able to develop. That is why they were called hunters and gatherers. So our forefathers were called as hunters and gatherers in Pleistocene period. See, another thing here. When we come to Holocene, that means the previous 10,000 years from today, the climate is very stable. Almost variations are very little. So stability started on this planet Earth only very recently, since 10,000 years. That is why progress is possible. Only when things are undisturbed, you would be able to plan a house and then a profession and then bearing children and developing, prospering. All that will start only when equilibrium and stability exists. That equilibrium period has been only in the last 10,000 years. Another important feature you notice in this graph is today's temperature, that is Holocene temperature, is higher, about 2 degrees. And the entire 2 million years before was low temperatures, glacial temperatures, 2 degrees lower. For the first time, a warm, conducive temperature for progressing our life started only in Holocene. So these are the two observations you can make from this graph. Next, please. So the temperatures were regular, fresh water availability was there, biogeochemical cycles stayed well within a narrow range, and therefore Holocene was a very stable period, and human development started taking place. And if we don't disturb this environment, we are all pretty sure, geologically, it is also proved that thousands of years we can continue this way in this stable period. But unfortunately, such a condition is now, such a stability is now under threat by our own actions. So historians point out that in fact, some civilizations already declined in the last 6,000, 7,000 years. What are they? You are well aware from your college days and school days. It started with the Mesopotamian civilization. Then came the Chinese civilization. Then came Harappa, Mohenjo-daro civilization, Indus Valley civilization. Then came the Greek civilization. And then came the Mayan civilization. So several civilizations were there and they collapsed after a brief period. There was no reasons shown scientifically in that period because technology was not there. They were unable to find out why those religions flourished and vanished today. Perhaps because of environmental degradation. Perhaps because of deforestation. Next, please. But now the Industrial Revolution took place. James Watt invented the steam engine exactly about 250 years ago. So with that onwards, the Industrial Revolution took place. When the Industrial Revolution took place, new events, man-driven events, human is starting now, the driver is now human being. The whole climate is at the mercy of this human being. And therefore, we can say perhaps a new epoch started in the Holocene epoch. Holocene epoch perhaps has come to an end. That fear has come. So the stability in the Holocene period is perhaps ending. And what is it we are doing? I will show you with large amount of data later to prove my point that we have been catastrophically damaging and causing detrimental consequences. Our own life is at stake. Fossil fuels we are very much using for the transportation, for the power development. Energy is very much needed. And how are we developing for all our developmental activities? Energy through fossil fuels. And then our agriculture is not on sound lines. In fact, agriculture is the first development that started in the Holocene period, about 9,000 years ago, because food is the primary requirement. Stability started in Holocene period. People need not have to migrate. Earlier people migrated. They started from Africa. They went in large numbers to Australia. They went to Asia. They went to Europe. And that is how those groups of people migrated, because everywhere, here there is so much of snowfall and impossible to live here. Therefore, they come to know somewhere else climate is better. So they all used to migrate there from one place to another place in the Pleistocene period. No stability was there. Simply diaspora. Diaspora means large scale human migrations for their very survival. It happened. Luckily, in the Pleistocene period ended, stable Holocene period began. And we have been very happy. First 2000 years or about 1800 years. Then came the so-called man's activity. We call ourselves Homo sapiens. What is the meaning of sapien? Sapien means wise person. We named ourselves that way. We are the people who coined that we are wise human beings. But what are our actions? Our actions are devastating actions we are causing, calling ourselves as wise human beings. So the result may be irreversible. And then environmental changes, when once they come, perhaps tipping point, we have been crossing the tipping point and we cannot reverse back. That is the stage we are perhaps coming. So I will have to show clearly during this talk how we are damaging our earth with the data clearly shown, and then I will also show you the solution. Next, please. Yes. Here you will see the data. In the left-hand top corner, you are seeing 3 curves for carbon dioxide variation, for methane, and for nitrous oxide. From which year? Since the beginning of our common era. Common era started about 2022 years ago. Common measurement era, calendar era started. That is the 0 point. So from that 0, please observe on the x-axis, up to about 1850 years, 1850, all the 3 curves, carbon dioxide curve, red curve, methane curve, green color, and then nitrous oxide, black color, all the 3 curves were more or less with constant value, with minor fluctuations only. Particularly carbon dioxide curve is at 280 parts per million. How long? Right from 0 to about 1850 years. 1850 years, slowly all the curves started rising. Why 1850, 1870? That is the starting of the industrial revolution. All industries came into being from then onwards because of the steam engine. We have now known how to get mechanical energy, other forms of energy, how to convert thermal energy to mechanical energy. We have learned, and steam engine started, vice versa. Steam engine started. With that, the huge development started. And then you will see the curves are very rapidly rising. The y-axis variable, that's the concentration, is very steeply rising. Initially, the rise was small. Please notice that. Right from 1800, 1850 to about 1950, for about 100 years, the rise was not so steep. But from 1950 onwards, the rise is almost vertical. Vertically, the curves are going, all the 3 of them. That 1950 year is the end of the Second World War. That is called the great acceleration of our industry. That is the cause of the ruination of our environment. So please see very clearly how those greenhouse gas curves are rising.
Right.
Incidentally, greenhouse gas consisting of carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, water vapor, and methane, etc., is very much essential. Greenhouse gas is essential for us. Why? The sun's radiation that is coming, the sun's surface is 5,000 degrees Celsius. 5,000 degrees Celsius body like sun radiates very powerful shortwave radiation. Powerful shortwave radiation can penetrate through atmosphere. Atmosphere thickness, let us say, is about 400 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Through these 400 kilometers Earth's surface, through the air layer, the radiation is coming because it is very powerful, coming from sun. A very hot body reaches the Earth's surface. And then Earth receives the thermal energy, becomes warm. What is the temperature of the Earth's surface? 25 degrees. In India, in summer, it may be 40 degrees, 45 degrees. So it's a very cooler body compared to sun. Any cooler body radiates long wave radiation only. All bodies in the universe emit radiation. You emit radiation. Your table is emitting radiation. Your pen is emitting radiation. Your computer is emitting radiation. Every body in the universe emits radiation. But only thing is, very hot bodies like sun emit short wave powerful radiation. Cooler bodies like Earth surface or water surface, sea surface, emit longer wave radiation. So the re-emitted long wave radiation back into atmosphere is absorbed by the greenhouse gases. So carbon dioxide now absorbs that energy, thermal energy, and keeps the earth warm. Imagine a planet, any other planet, where carbon dioxide is not there, will be very, very cool. Our own Earth's surface, had there been no carbon dioxide, would be having minus 18 degrees Celsius always. You and I cannot live anymore. So because our life itself is depending upon the existence of greenhouse gases, particularly carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is necessary in our atmosphere. However, it should not be very large in concentration. It should not be very small in concentration. It should be in a narrow range, wonderful range at 280 parts per million. It was there up to 1850. Today, you know, yesterday's value I have seen, it was 416 parts per million. Please see the lower curve, how the carbon dioxide concentration is changing. It is only just 80 years I have plotted in the x-axis, right from 1900 to today, 1960 in fact, from up to today, only 80 years. In that 80 years, the carbon dioxide concentration went up from 310 originally. Today, as I said, is about 420. So it is growing at the rate of 1 part per million, more than 1 part per million, close to 2 parts per million in each year. That at that rate it is growing. That is due to human action only. Foolishly, unwisely, we Homo sapiens are doing this danger. Next, let us see the temperature on the right side corner. The temperature went up in 1880. The global average temperature was about 13.7. But whereas today it has reached 14.8. Already 1 degree Celsius rise has been there in our temperature from the pre-industrial era. Therefore, all our temperature values, our variables values, let us base from pre-industrial era, how actually they are changing. You are seeing enormously the great acceleration you are experiencing, and the consequences and the results are change in the climate and many other parameters. Next, please. Next, please. Yes. So we are living on a human-dominated planet. It's of course a bad news. But then let us turn it as a good news in our favor. What is that good news? Now we know the reasons why we are damaging the earth, why our earth's climate is damaged. The earlier civilizations like Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, the Indus Valley civilization and other civilizations, Chinese, Mayan, they were not knowing the cause why their civilization is declining and dying. But we know from science today what is the mistake we are committing with the data we are showing, and we know also how to rectify it. That's a very good news. Let us take advantage of the science and the recordings. And one thing is very clear, another good news. The business as usual, how we are carrying out our industry, our lifestyle is no more an option to us. We cannot choose any more that option. Business as usual is called BAU. BAU is no more an option to any one of us. We must change the way we have been living, the way our industries have been functioning. We must bring radical changes for sustainability's sake. Next one, please. Now, the answer is, let us scientifically establish what are the major processes that are governing the earth. Luckily, very recently, as I said about 12 years ago, 2009, 29 scientists of Stockholm Research Center, SRC, in Sweden, they established after painstaking work for several years, they came out, there are 9 planetary boundaries, 9 significant processes, global processes, which are determining the fate of the functioning of our earth. Luckily, they are not 20. Luckily, they are not 30. They are only 9 in number. Let us recognize those 9 and then see that we don't cross in each of these processes the important value, that governing variable, that critical variable, that control variable. Let us determine that. So let us not cross that control variable in future. If we have already crossed in some areas, some processes, let us try to bring back. This knowledge was not known to the earlier civilizations which vanished from our country and elsewhere. Luckily, we know today what is it we are doing. We should be able to control them. Otherwise, we would perish. Next slide, please. Yeah, what are those processes? Major processes, global processes. They are 9 in number. What are they? First one, climate. Second one, ocean. Ocean is now becoming acidified. Very important water body. 75% of the planet Earth is water only, ocean water. Then stratospheric ozone. Above Earth's surface, about 35 kilometers above, there is a ozone layer. That ozone layer is very much necessary, O3 molecule. Only ozone layer is preventing us from not getting cancer, because powerful solar radiation, when it is passing through atmosphere, it is passing through also ozone layer. Ozone has the property, ozone molecule, to absorb UV radiation of B category. UV radiation has several categories. That B B-type UV radiation gives cancer to us. It is being prevented by absorption of this ozone molecule. And unfortunately, in 1930s, 1940s, up to 1960, we have produced enormous amount of chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons are the main reason for refrigeration. For mobile refrigeration, if you are able to go in your car with your refrigerator, with your cooling arrangement on, moving mobile refrigeration is possible only through the chlorofluorocarbons at that time. So chlorofluorocarbons, CFCs, were called wonder chemicals. When most of our students were there in the colleges in 1960s. So we were excited so much, such a wonderful chemical man was able to invent, produce. It was not in nature, it was produced by man. Therefore, many industries took over and started having their coolers, air conditioners, refrigerators with these chlorofluorocarbons. And the exhaust of that, it is so inert, so long-lasting, it went slowly upwards into stratosphere and then damaged the ozone. By 1980 beginning, we came to know that our ozone layer is becoming thinner and thinner. Already in some places, holes have appeared. Then we all woke up. The scientists gave the reason. It was Kuzel, another famous atmospheric chemist, who was the person who said that, and he was given Nobel Prize. And he is incidentally the person who said Anthropocene. Today it is no more Holocene, my dear friends. We damaged the environment. A new era, new epoch started. Perhaps it is Anthropocene. Anthropo means man-induced, man-caused. Wake up, that warning he gave. And he was awarded Nobel Prize. So that ozone layer is dangerous. The thinning of that, the removal of that. So all of us woke up, and did we not control that? Yes. Today we abolished all of them together, all chlorofluorocarbons, and slowly ozone layer is now becoming thicker. The dangerous situation is over. Why I am now narrating that here? So let us wake up in the same way. Let the whole world unite to see that we don't perish any further. Already we are knowing from science what are the causes. Let us implement them and see further damage is no more done to the earth. And let us go back from the present Anthropocene to Holocene. Holocene was a stable period. We experienced already that. Why can't we go back if we all try very vigorously? So friends, the other things are, the first three, as I said, are global processes. The rest six are local processes and regional processes. There is a difference between regional and global. There is a definition also given. What is a region? What is the globe? Globe, you know, all over the globe is the global process. When do you call it a region, a smaller area? That definition internationally, they are all given. So, but the local processes and the regional processes, many of them start at different locations. Therefore, when concurrently so many local and regional processes are taking place, it spreads over the entire globe. They are becoming global processes. What are they? Change in the land use. Mostly forest land is cut away, converted to agriculture, that to monoculture, not multiple cropping pattern, but single crop, monoculture, to feed the 7 billion people. The greatest problem for the world today is our population. Huge population at the expense of all other species. That's another problem we are facing. That's a pressure on the earth. Our earth, planet Earth, is pressured from all sides. One important side is the growth in the human population. All of them have to live comfortably and with well-being and with a good lifestyle. Therefore, friends, hello. Yes. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry for the interruption. Sorry for the interruption, please. Yes. So the next process, the change in the land use, very important process that is affecting us. Then global fresh water use. Then biosphere integrity. So many extinctions, biodiversity, the biological species. Fifth extinction already took place. Fifth mass extinction took place 66 million years ago. Large animals like dinosaurs, all of them perished at one stroke. Perhaps the sixth mass extinction started already. That is how the scientists are worried now. Man himself is causing his own downfall. Then seventh one is biogeochemical process of nitrogen, phosphorus. Number of global processes are there. Carbon dioxide, nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, sulfur cycle, just like hydrologic cycles. All these are cycles. Two of those cycles are very much necessary for agriculture growth. We are drawing away so much nitrogen from the atmosphere. I will come to that slightly later. From atmosphere, that the whole cycle is now disturbed. Likewise, the phosphorus also for the growth of the crops. That is also disturbing. Large amount of phosphorus is used, and phosphate is going through water, through our streams, rivers, and finally into ocean. Ocean is now full of large amount of phosphate. All these called acidification of the ocean. Then atmospheric aerosol loading. What is an aerosol? Aerosol is a fine particle. A micro-sized particle is called aerosol. In fact, fine droplet of water is also aerosol. Aerosols are necessary in the atmosphere. How are we getting rainfall? This is the rainfall period in our country. Monsoon period has started, southwest monsoon. Today, here and there in Hyderabad, some rain showers were there. How is rain coming? From a height of about 1.5 kilometers or 2 kilometers above the earth's surface. When it is condensing due to lower temperature at that level, the water vapor condenses around a small particle. Please note. That's called a nucleus. Nucleus is necessary for the rainfall formation. Aerosols are needed. Around that only the condensation of the water vapor into liquid water takes place. And when slowly the condensation process increases, the mass of the water bubble, which may be 0.1 millimeter, 0.2 millimeter, slowly the size is increasing. When the mass is sufficiently big, half a millimeter size, 1 millimeter size, 1.5 millimeter size, then it starts subsiding because of gravitational attraction. That is how the rain is coming. Somebody is talking, please. Somebody, yeah. Okay. So the rain is now subsiding onto the landfall. Hence, aerosol is necessary in a certain range. Just as carbon dioxide is needed in a certain range, so also other items. Then the last one, ninth one is the chemical pollution and novelties. What is the novelties? Novelties are modern substances which do not exist in the nature. They are created by man only. Nature doesn't know how to handle them. There are already about 35,000 new chemicals that are there in use already. So all these are changing the environment to our disadvantage. Next one, please. Yeah. So all these 9 processes are shown here, starting from right in a clockwise way, the climate one, the ocean acidification, the stratospheric ozone depletion, change in land use, global freshwater use, change in biosphere integrity, biogeochemical flows of nitrogen and phosphorus, atmospheric aerosol loading, and chemical pollution, including novelties. These are the 9 important major processes that determine the functioning of the planet Earth. Now, let us start from the center. All radial lines are shown here to demarcate the segment. So at the central point, the control variable value is 0. The control variable of that particular process. Every process has a different control variable, sometimes more than one variable. So they start from 0. And as the pollution levels, as the degradation of the environment is taking place, the value goes on increasing radially outwards. Up to a particular value, it is a safe value, no problem at all. We can function, we can develop. Sustainable development only. That limit, that boundary is called the safe operating space. In that operating space, let these processes function. No problem, wonderful. Growth will be there, prosperity will be there, and no damage done. But if you go beyond with slightly higher value for each of these processes, initially low risk zone comes. And that is also crossed. We will be landing into higher risk zone. That is how this institute, the Stockholm Research Center, brought a novel thinking and tried to determine what are those control variables for all these processes. Large exercise has been done all over the world. Large number of data is available already. They went on processing with the sole aim to determine the control variable threshold value. The threshold value should not be transgressed. Within that, it is safe operating space. See, please, the new idea, Club of Rome, as I said earlier, wonderful Club of Rome, all growing countries, developed countries have started in 1972. The report says clearly, Meadows, the author is Meadows. Meadows clearly said that our demand is exceeding the limit of the environment or the earth to meet that demand. There is a limit to the demand. So stop the demand, reduce the demand. That is how actually it was started. But whereas here, this is a more positive outlook. Be within the space and then continue to prosper. And they have determined the space, the major process, along with the control variables. Friends, it's a very new research in the world. Still, so many things are not clear. Don't think what I am presenting today is the last word. No. There are many contradictions, many uncertainties in the work still. Only time, in the next few years, maybe 2, 3, 4 years, we will come to finalization. And we must implement immediately if we want to survive. Because the COP, the Conference of Parties, have clearly said our temperature cannot go beyond 2 degrees rise, because never for 2 million years before our present Holocene, never the environment had more than 2 degrees temperature. Never it had. Suddenly, we are going beyond 2 degrees. What would happen? Large amount of damage would be there. And if tipping point is crossed, who are the worst sufferers? Vulnerable people initially, the poor people. Millions of them already, easily 5 to 6 billions might die. Only rich nations and rich people of the rich nations can only protect themselves to some extent. Finally, the whole earth planet will perish. It's not far off. It may be in the next 100 years, next 200 years only. Many of the young people may see that, or may not be able to see that at all later, because they themselves won't be alive. Such a rapidity we must now take up and see that the temperature is not going beyond 2 degrees Celsius. That is the decision taken in 2015 in Paris. But better limit it to 1.5 degrees, not even 2 degrees. But perhaps it's impossible to go back to 1.5 degrees, because already so much of greenhouse gases are already there. What do you do with them? They have a long life. They would continue to raise our temperature. Next, please. Next. So, in 1950, immediately after the Second World War, before the great acceleration started, see, all the important major processes are within the safe zone, the green color. And that yellow dot shows clearly the pre-industrial value, 0. Pre-industrial value, we have not deviated at all from the original Holocene variables. But only with the industry beginning, we started branching out. We are entering to the fringe, the limit of the safe operating space. Still in 1950, we were very safe then, very safely there. Next. Next, please. By 1960, for the first time, because agriculture growth, normally we may think, how can agriculture damage the environment? Agriculture is feeding us. True. Agriculture is feeding us, true, but with wrong methods. We have to change our agriculture. Sustainable agriculture, it is not. Food security is going to be at peril. Food production today is on the wrong lines. It's the first one that has already transgressed, please see, by 1960. And the major reason is drawing away large quantities of nitrogen that is in the atmosphere, and to make it fertilizer, chemical fertilizer. Nitrates are needed, ammonia is needed for the plant. The natural ammonia product, the organic nitrogen production at the root zone is becoming insufficient for the teeming population. Therefore, huge quantities we have been drawing through Haber-Bosch process. Haber got Nobel Prize. For what purpose? He found out a method, Haber-Bosch process. Haber, a chemist, great chemist. Bosch, a chemical engineer, both Germans. During the First World War, up to the 1918, they developed the method of bringing nitrogen of the atmosphere as a chemical to fertilize the soil and to develop the crop production. That was not originally their intention. They were making explosives in the First World War with this process. N2 plus 3H2, N2 in the atmosphere plus 3H2 is equal to 2NH3. Ammonia is produced now. Wonderful process, great process, noble, wonderful development in chemistry. But then it was used for fertilizer, good, but then because of whole growth of the population, too much of chemical fertilizer application at the expense of disturbing both nitrogen and phosphorus cycle of the atmosphere. That was in 1960, it started transgressing the planetary boundary, transgressing, overshooting the planetary boundary in one specific major process. Next slide, please. By immediately I will come. I do not want to take your time. Every decade what happened, I can tell you which process, next process, third process, fourth process, like that. But today we'll go to 2022. I am coming to the latest one. 5 major processes already transgressed. What are they? Climate change, change in the land use, biosphere integrity, biogeocycles of nitrogen and phosphorus, chemical pollution and novelties. All these 5 major processes have transgressed their limits. And the next 4 are in the process of doing that. Let us wake up now. That is what the scientific world and the world at large is doing today. Unless we do it, by 2030, what are the Sustainable Development Goals? As you know, Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations started in 2015 with 17 goals as their objectives, and they must be satisfied by 2030. 2030 is not far away, only 8 years away from now. So please see how much of work is still remaining to be done. Next, please, next slide. Yes. So, sir, you gave me the 9 processes, correct? But what are the control variables for each process? Yes, climate, these next 2 slides, this slide and the next one shows what the control variables are. First of all, what are their magnitudes that should not be transgressed? What is the present value already to show that it is transgressed? So that table, these 2 slides will show these variables. For example, climate change means carbon dioxide. It's a carbon dioxide excess causes climate change. Like that, very important control variables have been found out. Therefore, I will stop those. Next, only a few minutes more I will take. Sir, you have so far told us the causes of degradation of the environment, said our life is at peril, and identified the process which should be taken care of. Now tell us in brass tacks, which can be implemented by our industry and do by us, each one of us. How do we proceed from today? The only answer is circular economy. We are now following linear economy. Linear economy goes with the principle, take resources either from the earth or already taken from the earth and they are available above the ground, and use all those resources. Make a product, make and use that product. It becomes a waste after some years. Throw away, dispose, treat it as a waste. So take, make, dispose, take, make, waste. This is the principle of our market economy today, our lifestyle today. Some 20 years ago, we used to take pride. Sir, use and throw, sir. We don't repair, sir, anything. This watch is used, sir, for 5 years, 8 years. This TV is used, sir, throw it away, sir, purchase new TV. And proudly we used to say, we are following that. Throw, use and throw. America started that. And we all copied. Now we know how harm it has done. That is called a linear economy. A line has a beginning and an end. This linear economy assumes that the environment resources are limitless. Infinite resources are there. Go on using them. Earth will provide you. And after using, waste will come. Earth can absorb all the waste. It can assimilate. It can regenerate once again. That is the nature of the earth. No, certainly not. Earth is like a spaceship. It is really a spaceship. One is a human developed one. This is nature developed one. That's the only difference. And the spaceship, just as a humanly developed spaceship, has a limited volume, limited resources, limited space. How carefully astronauts, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 who are in the spaceship, how wisely they live there without ruining their environment in that small spaceship. We must also learn to live that way on this planet spaceship. This was realized by one Baumgart. I'm going to show in the next slide or so. Baumgart, he was the first person who said, it is the linear economy, the present market economy, which we are following in India, copied from the Western countries, USA, Europe, and other countries, this market economy, which is unregulated, that is ruining us. That is the cause for all these problems, both social disparity, inequality in the society is because of the market economy, the linear economy. Because of the resource degradation is because of the market economy. Now we have come to feel x-axis, let us plot the prosperity of the nation or the people. GDP, let us say, is the measure of prosperity, x-axis. And y-axis, resource depletion. So year after year, as we are progressing, our GDP is increasing, improving, then definitely resource depletion as well as environmental degradation, both are also rising. So we come to understand now today, if you have to prosper and improve your standard of living and becoming more well-being, possessing more well-being, you have to degrade the environment. There is no alternative, sir. There is resource depletion, so resource will be depleting only. We have come to take it for granted. That means we are having a coupled system. Prosperity increase means resource depletion. Both are connected. It is a coupled system. This concept must change. We must decouple both these. You can prosper without depleting the resources. How? Next slide, please. Nature has already shown that cyclic activity. Please see, in this slide, I am showing only there are 3 types of organisms in the universe, on the planet Earth. Only 3 types of organisms. What are they? Producer organism, that produces food. A tree produces food. Therefore, it's called a producer. Then that food is eaten by animals and other organisms. They are called consumer organisms, which are on the land. They can also be in the sea. They are the consumer organisms, animals. Tree also dies, consumer also dies. When they die, They go back again into soil and they become inorganic nutrients for the soil and for the tree to come up once again. So, three types of organisms are evolved in such a way, it's a closed loop, it's a cycle. Always there will be material, nutrients, they are utilized, they come back again as nutrients, and the cycle goes on. And only one thing that does not participate in this come back once again is energy. So please notice, only two things are required for our life. What are they? Number one, material, matter. Number two, the energy. Matter and energy, only two. Matter is always recycled in nature. Energy can never be recycled. That's a law, entropy. Second law of thermodynamics clearly shows energy transforms from one process to another process, but can never be completely recycled. There will be definitely loss of energy in every process. Nobody can change that law. But our energy source is sun in nature. The life of the sun is 5 billion years. The planet Earth might not be by then. We need not be worried about that. You can always say it's a renewable energy, inexhaustible energy. Therefore, energy is inexhaustibly available in nature, and matter is totally recycled again and again and again, perpetually. So that's called circular system. Why can't we adopt such a system in our industry? It is called industry ecology. So industry ecology must be brought into industrial development, and industrial ecology, the industry must proceed on those lines. Next one, please. Next one, please. Next one, please. Already these were over. Yes. Please see, not only the whole system must be circular, automatically system consists of number of processes. Each process is also circular in nature. Wonderful, please see. I have taken two processes, photosynthesis and respiration. What are the inputs of photosynthesis? Left-hand side it is shown. What are the outputs? I have shown on the right-hand side of the chemical equation. And please see, next another process, respiration. In this respiration process, the outputs of the earlier process, photosynthesis, become the inputs. The inputs of the respiration gives rise to outputs, and those outputs become the inputs for photosynthesis. That is how the industry, our development must take place. That means number of processes are there. The process, every process has inputs and outputs. The outputs of number one process must be inputs for the number two process. Number two process outputs must be inputs for the number three process. Why can't your Homo sapien, you call yourself very intelligent? You named yourself that way. Sapien, you have called yourself. Why don't you follow this? That is how the industry must develop. Please see, industry park means number of industries put side by side in one area. That is not what we want. That is, of course, good. You are bringing all the industries together at one place so that many things can be common. You can have a common water supply line. You can have a common water treatment plant, etc. You can have limit your pollution to one area which can be treated. So that has one purpose. But industry eco parks are now developed. Their purpose is different. India still may not be understanding that. Industrial eco park means the outputs of one product manufacturing must be the inputs for another product. all industries, but we so planned, arranged that way, so that no waste is there. The byproducts of one production, major product and byproducts and waste. The byproducts and waste must be inputs to another industry. That is how in the world already it started this process. Kalundborg in Denmark is a great example. Number of industries in one area, each utilizing the byproducts and the waste of one industry as inputs to the other industry, and no waste comes out. Next, please. Next, please. So there are two types of nutrients, biological nutrients and technical nutrients. All bioprocesses, food, etc., follow this cycle. So our industry, biological industries and technical engineering industries producing electronic goods, etc. Technical nutrients must be cycled. Biological products are already being cycled in nature. We have to follow that methodology here. And when we combine both of them, both biological products as well as technical products, it becomes completely a circular economy. Already many countries are adopting this. Next one, please. So, thank you, my dear friends. I finally want to give a simple message. Let us not simply exist. Let us really live life and spread happiness to our fellow beings. And in that process, derive happiness, experience happiness ourselves. And lastly, no civilization ever survived the ongoing destruction of its natural support system. Let us learn, nor will our civilization. When we destroy the natural support system, we are destroying ourselves. The great Lester Brown, an environmental champion, gave this statement. Let us follow that and let us rebuild our processes to live sustainably. Before I conclude, I would like to thank our Institution of Engineers, Telangana Center, which is already doing yeoman service, well known in the country compared to other state centers. Let it continue the same tempo. All of us, let us join in giving our support to the executive committee, to the chairman of the local center. I also thank all the participants today for being with me, for listening to me, and let us formulate certain opinions and to see that our environment again comes back to Holocene type environment. That's all what we have to do. It was there. We are disturbing it. Let us take it back. That would be a stable period and our growth will be obviously assured. Thank you very much, my dear friends. Good evening to you. Yes. Hello.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, please. Yes. I hope one or two are at least remaining.
Sir.
Hello, Mahesh.
Mahesh.
Sir, Brahma Reddy sir. Brahma Reddy sir.
Brahmareddy garu unnara vellipoyara?
ఉన్నాడు సార్
He is
ఉన్నాడు
there,
ఉన్నాడు.
sir.
Still 40 members, 40 engineers are there.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay, sir. It's a heartening news.
Very happy, sir. A long time. to
Very,
see
very,
you.
very informative talk you have
Physically
given, sir.
and hear your talk.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you, Shastri sir, for your excellent and wonderful presentation. I think I have no words to describe what is that definition of excellence in the words. Thank you, sir. That's up to you. And I suppose I enjoyed all the participants' so good number of participants on the virtual meet. And if anybody wants kindly anything question I want to put your welcome, sir. I hope Sastry sir will answer.
Good evening, sir. Shastri, sir.
Good evening, Andy. Good evening.
Sir, I am Professor Moinuddin here.
Moinuddin garu, good evening, Andy.
Very good evening, sir. You are given us some informative information. Nearly some 2 degrees centigrade, it is increasing, na, sir. So,
Now 1 degree it increased over
Yeah.
the pre-industrial area, pre-industrial time.
so what exactly the problems is developing by increasing this temperature, sir? 1 degree, or if it is going for 2 degree, so then exactly in a sea level maybe also come up, sir. The
Yes.
water and all, earth movement.
Sir, just a minute. These are average temperatures over the entire globe. Therefore, 2 degrees rise mean temperature for the globe means in Canada it may be 6 degrees rise. In India it may be 5
Yeah,
degrees
okay,
rise.
right.
So it is an average temperature. Therefore, certain countries like India, particularly, our summer is hot. During our second crop period, our yields are low because water availability is less for irrigation. Countries like India suffer greatly. Our second crop is now producing, let us say, some 100 million tons. Our first crop is producing about 140 million tons, let us say, food grains. It will drastically come down, the water availability. That is one thing. Secondly, extremities, large floods, severe droughts, all these are extremes. So extremes will be very much. No system can manage with extremes. If there are flooding rains for about 1 month period, we have experienced already in the last 3 years in Hyderabad. Never we had such severe rains continuously for a period of 3 years. And it may be even drought. And another important thing, Greenland, Antarctica, Arctica, they are all ice shields. Large amount of ice is there. Snow that has fallen there due to compaction had become thick ice. And they are all now melting. It is clearly seen. Sea level is rising. Some low-lying lands like Bangladesh completely will be inundated. Likewise, Maldives, likewise, Netherlands. Netherlands, name itself, Netherlands means low-lying land. So that low-lying land, already they have built a number of walls around to see that seawater doesn't come. The land level is lower than the sea level. So all these coastal areas, including East Coast, in our own country, many areas will be inundated.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. You are given a good
Thank you,
information.
sir. Mr. T. Satyanarayan Reddy has raised a hand, sir.
Yes, sir.
Satyanarayan Reddy garu.
Good
Satyanarayan
evening,
garu,
sir.
namaskaram andi.
Good evening to everybody. I'm proud to say that Professor Shastri was our teacher at REC Warangal. Now it is NIT Warangal. And at his age, we can see how much energy still he has. Our earth also should be protected like that, so that we all live probably at least till our life, we live comfortably. And sir, we can see the climate change. For example, I lived in Delhi working at CRNI for almost 34 years. In 34 years, I could see so much of change in the climate in Delhi itself. Particularly in summer, it used to be 3 days warmer, and then 4th day it used to be raining. Now probably it's continuously almost all 1 month it is warmer. So that's how it's changed there. And particularly the circular economy, what you said, has to be taken on board by the government and at all levels, and we should see that industry becomes a circular industry, circular economy, which, as you rightly said. Thank you very much. I mean, I must congratulate the Telangana Center for organizing this lecture. Thank you very much.
I think Professor Ramana Nayak wanted to ask.
సార్ గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ సార్.
గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్
Please.
రమణ నాయక్ గారు.
సార్ మీకు మేము ఏకలవ్యం సార్, నో క్వశ్చన్స్ టు ఆస్క్, ఎందుకంటే బ్రహ్మాడి గారు చెప్పినట్టు అసలు ఈ హైలీ అప్రిషియబుల్ సార్, అండ్ వీఆర్ ప్రౌడ్ ఆఫ్ సే దట్ తెలంగాణ గవర్నమెంట్ టేకెన్ హరితహారం అండ్ అవర్ సూర్యాపేట డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ ఘాట్ 1 degrees తక్కువ టెంపరేచర్ వచ్చింది సార్. వీఆర్ హ్యాపీ.
Good.
సో వన్స్ అగైన్ కంగ్రాట్స్ సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ.
కొండలరావు గారు.
నమస్కారం సార్.
నమస్కారం అండి కొండలరావు గారు.
సార్ చాలా బాగుంది సార్, చాలా హైలీ ఎన్లైటనింగ్, అండ్ వీ హావ్ లెర్న్డ్ ఎ లాట్ ఆఫ్ న్యూ థింగ్స్ సార్ టుడే. సో ఆఫ్ ది కాజెస్ అండ్ ది ఆరిజిన్స్ ఎట్సెట్రా, and the solutions also, that particularly the circular economy which we have highlighted, it is very relevant sir nowadays, and we thank you very much for the highly enlightening presentation sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Dattu Pant.
సార్ గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ సార్. అందరు పెద్దవాళ్ళకి నమస్కారాలు సార్.
నమస్కారం
చాలా
దత్తు
సంతోషం
పంత్
సార్
గారు.
శాస్త్రి గారిది మేము విన్న తర్వాత. అంటే చాలా నాకు మీరు ఎవరు పరిచయం లేకున్నా కూడా నేను వినడం నా భాగ్యంగా భావిస్తున్నాను సార్. ఈ అవకాశం సద్వినియోగం చేసుకున్నాను. కాకపోతే ఒక చిన్న నా మనవి సార్, అంటే
చెప్పండి.
చెప్పకూడదు అనుకుంటున్నా గానీ అది మనసు ఇప్పలేక చెప్పాల్సి వస్తుంది అంతే గాని మీకు
తప్పకూడదు
ఇబ్బంది
ఏం
ఉండదు కదా
లేదండి,
సార్.
మనం అందరం కొలీగ్స్.
కాకపోతే ఏంటి సార్ అంటే ఇంతమంది పెద్దవాళ్ళందరూ దీంట్లో భాగస్వామ్యం ఉండి మీలాంటి అనుభవజ్ఞులు చెప్పిన విషయాలు విన్న తర్వాత, ఈ విషయాలు తెలుసుకున్న తర్వాత దీనికి ఏంటి నెక్స్ట్ సొల్యూషన్, ఏ విధంగా చేస్తే ఈ అనుకున్న సమస్యను తక్కువ చేయగలుగుతాం, లేదు సమస్యను రూపుమార్చగలుగుతాం, లేదా సమస్యను ఎక్కువ చేయకుండా చేయగలుగుతాం అనే ఒక ప్రణాళిక మాత్రం చేస్తే ఈ రోజు మీరు ఇచ్చిన లెక్చర్ కు విన్నదానికి కొంత ఉపయోగం ఉంటుందని నా భావన సార్. ఇది చెడుగా అంటే చెప్పాలి అంటే మీరు అర్థం చెడుగా చేసుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు సార్. ఇక్కడ 40 మందికి నా యొక్క విన్నపం ఏంటంటే, లెట్ us have a one workshop session, another workshop session, have a concrete planning, యాక్షన్ ప్లాన్, ఇన్స్టెంట్ ఏంటి, షార్ట్ టర్మ్ ఏంటి, లాంగ్, మీడియం, ఇన్ విచ్ వే, అంటే ఏ విధంగా గవర్నమెంట్ సహాయపడదామా, లేకుంటే ఎవరిది వాళ్ళు ఎన్లైటన్ అయ్యి ఎవరిది వాళ్ళు యాక్షన్ ప్లాన్ తయారు చేసి దాన్ని పాటించడమా, ఎట్ ద హౌస్ లెవెల్ ఆర్ ఎట్ దేర్ కాలనీ లెవెల్ ఆర్ ఎట్ సొసైటీ లెవెల్ ఆర్ దేర్ ఓన్ విలేజ్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ద డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ లెవెల్ ఆర్ ఇన్ వాట్ వే వీ వాంట్ టు ఇన్వాల్వ్ అవర్ సెల్ఫ్, అవర్ 40 members ఆర్ 38 members హూ ఆర్ ఇన్స్పైర్డ్ విత్ యువర్ స్పీచ్ అనేది నా యొక్క ఆలోచన సార్. దీనిపైన కొంత యాక్షన్ ప్లాన్ మన TSIEC ఏదైతే మన ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఆఫ్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ చాప్టర్ తెలంగాణ స్టేట్ ఉందో వాళ్ళు మీలాంటి వాళ్ళ గైడ్ లైన్స్, అంటే మీలాంటి వాళ్ళు ఉండడం కూడా గొప్పతనం సార్ సమాజంలో. ఇంత నాలెడ్జ్ ఉండి కూడా ఈ నాలెడ్జ్ ను ఉపయోగించుకోలేకపోవడం కూడా దురదృష్టకరం సార్. కాబట్టి మై రిక్వెస్ట్, హంబుల్ రిక్వెస్ట్ విత్ TSIEC, ప్లీజ్ హ్యావ్ ఏ అనదర్ వర్క్ షాప్ ఆర్ ఏ వన్ డే కాంగ్రిగేషన్ త్రూ వర్చువల్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ఫిజికల్ అపియరెన్స్. ఎట్లా చేస్తారో చేసి ఒక యాక్షన్ ప్లాన్ తయారు దాన్ని ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసే ప్రయత్నం చేస్తే బాగుంటుంది నా ఆలోచన సార్. ఈ యాక్షన్ ప్లాన్ తయారు చేయడంలో కానీ ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసే దాంట్లో కానీ నా వంతు సహకారం తప్పకుండా అందిస్తారు సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ సార్.
దత్తుపతి గారు బాగా చెప్పారండి.
Thank you అండి.
దత్తుపతి గారు జస్ట్ ఏ మినిట్ అండి. దత్తుపతి గారు 2 ఆస్పెక్ట్స్. హలో దత్తుపతి గారు, హలో
సార్. సార్ చెప్పండి సార్, వింటున్నాను సార్.
దత్తుపతి గారు 2 ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ చెప్పారండి. ఒకటి, every one of us have to undertake an action leading to improvement of the environment. అందుకనే ఏమన్నా ఉంటే మనం think globally, act locally. Every individual, every small location, every center, Telangana state center locally has to do many things to improve. Then all together collectively will be a great activity protecting the environment. ఎలాగంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇండివిజువల్ ఒక ఆయన వరల్డ్ ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ డేకి చీఫ్ గెస్ట్గా పిలిచారు ఆయన్ని. ఆయన వచ్చాడు పెద్ద BMW కారులో. ఆయన చాలా బిగ్ షాట్. ఆయన BMW కారులో సింగిల్ ప్యాసింజర్ వచ్చి దిగాడు. గోగా అందరూ ఇన్వైట్ చేసిన వాళ్ళు ఆయన దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి డోర్ తీశారు, బయటకు వచ్చారు. సో టు ఐఎమ్ ది చీఫ్ గెస్ట్ ఫర్ దిస్ వరల్డ్ ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ డే. ఆయన వచ్చింది ఏమిటి? BMW కారులో విత్ లార్జ్ ఫ్యూయల్ కన్సంప్షన్, ఏ సింగిల్ ప్యాసింజర్. and he is going to inaugurate the World Environment Day celebration. So, ఈ విధంగా ఉండకూడదండి. లోకల్ లెవెల్లో, every individual లెవెల్లో, whenever a small opportunity arises, let us see that we utilize that opportunity and do not degrade the environment. ఒక మ్యారేజ్ ఉంటుంది, ఎందుకండి మ్యారేజ్కి మనం ఇంత ఖర్చు పెట్టి చేస్తాం? అది ఆపర్చునిటీ కదా మీకు. అంటే ఒక రకంగా చెప్తే, సార్ ఐఎమ్ పర్ఫార్మింగ్ మై డాటర్స్ మ్యారేజ్ వన్స్ ఓన్లీ సార్, కాబట్టి చాలా గ్రాండ్ స్కేల్లో చేస్తున్నాను అని అనొచ్చు. బట్ అట్ ది సేమ్ టైమ్ యు ఆర్ గెటింగ్ సచ్ ఆపర్చునిటీస్ ఓన్లీ వెరీ రేర్లీ టు ప్రొటెక్ట్ ది ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్. వై డూ యూ వాంట్ 1000 guests? They come not by walking, they come definitely by transport, generally by their personal transport, ruining the environment. ఇలాంటి ఆపర్చునిటీస్ వచ్చినప్పుడు మనం యూటిలైజ్ చేసుకోవాలి. చేసుకోకుండా ఉండి లోకల్ లెవెల్లో, ఇండివిజువల్ లెవెల్లో టేక్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ అంటే హౌ కెన్ ఎన్వైరన్మెంట్ బి టేకెన్ కేర్?
Gopal Krishna garu.
See, very good points have been told by Shastri Garu. Very enlightening. Many few points I have understood. But 2 examples what he has given. Our life should give an example of what we are teaching. See, other day, we have put all these Attenborough fans in our residences. We have put rainwater harvesting about 20 years back in our residence. We have put solar hot water systems in the building about 15 to 20 years back. Recently, we installed a heat pump to conserve the electrical energy. So we should, set example, and we should share it with the people. Even our Institution of Engineering building, long back we did energy audit. We have to redo an energy audit and plug in all the points. We don't think of that many times. We only think of organizing good talks and all those things. But it should start our level. I met Gokul Kandarao about 15-20 years back in Vijayawada, where he has done a lot of good points in that, making that city green. So 1 ounce of practice is better than 1 ton of talk and other things. Thanks, Shastri Garu. Happy to see you after a long time. Nowadays, I don't see you in Rampi also.
Thank you.
Happy Environment Day.
Thank you.
Sir, I would like to thank Dr. S.N. Rao garu. He has odd hours in the US. He has attended, he is in the thing, sir, in our meeting, and really thanks to him. And he also would like to, I think, speak. He has raised a hand, sir. Sir, S.N. Rao, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Brahma Reddy. So it's as usual, the young P.G. Shastri Garu has given a very, very wonderful and very, very educative presentation. I know him since a long time from REC Warangal. When I was doing PhD, he was the director there. So, and thereon we developed. The point that was really to be noted by us is that every individual can contribute for the environmental protection in simple ways of our disposals from our home front. How we dispose all the waste is one aspect that we could also take care of in contributing the environmental protection. And from disaggregate level, we can go to the aggregate level. So this is what every one of us should take care. And thank you, sir. Thank you, Shastri Garu.
Thank you, Nagabhushan Rao garu.
As usual, your quality of presentation. So thank you very much. Thank you, Brahma Reddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody else, please?
Sir, as this is Dr. Raman Naik, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, as Kondala sir said and Gopal sir చెప్పినట్టు, we have to think seriously, sir. We have to do something on behalf of IAI. ఒకరోజు కాల్ చేయండి చైర్మన్ సార్, ప్లీజ్ కాల్ ఆల్ సీనియర్ ఇంజనీర్స్ అండ్ we have to.
వీరన్న గారు,
సార్
నమస్కారం వీరన్న గారు.
It is highly informative, sir. ఇది మనకు లిమిటెడ్ పీపుల్ కే కాకుండా చాలా మందికి ఈ విషయాన్ని తెలియజేస్తే బాగుంటుందని నేను అభిప్రాయపడుతున్నాను సార్.
Okay. వీరన్న గారు ఇప్పుడు మాట్లాడారు కదా. He was formerly the director for CGWB for Southern region. He's a retired person now, a very good hydrogeologist.
Virana garu, anything you want to say? Anybody else, please?
Yeah. Hello.
Anybody else?
Hello.
Yes, yes, Anand garu, sir. Yes,
Anand
sir.
garu.
Hello. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir, Anand, sir. Yes, sir, Anand, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Anand, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, you are audible.
Dr. Shastri, thank you very much for educative lecture. But I just have one small question. That in industrial era, 1880 it started, where the carbon dioxide level was around 320 or so, and today we are at 450. What is that one action you can suggest or think of which can control this further growth and sustain? One particular action by the, is it a thermal power, or it's a power, or atomic power, or something else which could reduce this carbon footprint and increase our CO2 level in the atmosphere years to come?
One simple action, of course, difficult to implement. One single action also, simple and single. Many cities have lakhs of cars, automobiles. Many cities in our country. Hello? Hello? Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, sir.
Yeah. All our cities have many automobiles run on fossil fuels. If city transportation can change to electricity, not easy to say, easy to implement, single action, we can save so much of carbon dioxide reduction we can achieve. Every city must be run only on electric cars. And in cities, it is not difficult. There would be electric car supply will be there for every car, and so many cars, and there is a considerable reduction in the world in carbon dioxide emissions.
But those cars should be driven by the
Electricity run by renewable energy and
Yeah.
not. But even if it is not run by renewable energy, at least car efficiency will be there to some extent. You have said wonderfully. There is no point in having electrical energy produced from fossil fuel and then running the car. True. But only in some measure we can reduce, not in complete measure.
But to that extent, can we tap the renewable energy? Because of the our demands are high, very high, and technology is still, and storage, etc., is a problem still. So can
Ultimately, that's the only source. There is no other source. Renewable energy, that means both sun and wind. These are the two agencies we should use, if not now, even 50, 20. If we don't implement soon, we are going to have the consequences. That's the only way. Nature has done that only through solar energy. Every activity of nature is being done. How a river is flowing from higher level to a lower level? Only because of solar energy. It is solar energy that is evaporating the water, and then the hydrological cycle starts. So all actions in nature requiring energy, every action of course requires energy, is through only solar. We must convert. There is no other way. If we delay it, we are facing the consequences. Don't delay anymore.
Is it over, sir? Next, Narmada madam, you have raised a hand. You want to say anything? Only
Narmada,
questions, please. No,
this
thing other.
Narmada is there, is it? How
Have
are
any
you,
question?
Narmada?
First unmute it.
Unmute.
First unmute,
Not
madam.
audible.
Madam, unmute.
Unmute చేయండి.
Yeah, good
Yes.
evening all, sir. Happy
Narmada,
Environment.
ఎలా ఉన్నావమ్మా? How are
Yeah,
you?
fine, sir.
Good.
feel blessed to meet you twice in this week, sir. I'm happy for that. And I would like to think globally and act locally. That is what to inform from my end, sir. Thank you all, sir.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Narayana.
Yeah, now Dr. Rameshwar Rao, Director SK, I think he has raised hand.
No,
Sir,
sir,
anything you want to ask?
only that no questions, sir, for PG Shastri. I don't want any questions, sir. Really, today's topic is very nice, sir. We just like we are in the classroom only, sir. We learn many things, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Just want to say hello to you. Just that's all. Thank you to all. Chandra Brahmarat sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rameshwar Garu. Thank you.
Sir, anybody else, sir?
Sir, once again, thanks to Shastri Sabu, Pranam.
No, you already thanked 3 times, sir.
Yes, sir.
You chance to others.
Sir,
Anyway, you give a thank to that.
sir, as
Every-
a professor, I have
We
to-
give a chance to our Honorary Secretary.
ఈ ప్రొఫెసర్ కదా అందుకే ఎక్కువ
Sir,
సార్
మాకు మేము P. Shastri గారు
Shastri, sir, as I said, there is no words in
Yeah,
our
yeah.
dictionary.
Yes,
to
Chairman sir,
describe
you have
your
to-
speech and
Chairman
the
sir,
excellent,
Thank
the
you.
content what you have given is really, I think, I've gone through many,
And
though
also-
I am not environmental engineer, I've gone through some of the subject, but it was really, sir, worth noting and keeping forever with us. And is also, as you said, you should globally think and locally act. And whatever we can, I think, as everybody was saying, our GK Anand Saab, sir, see, today, everybody is using their own cars. Why government cannot think of a mass transportation that can reduce the pollution and whatever CO2 or whatever it is. Whereas now it is becoming more and more only personal vehicles, like other countries in India also. Earlier, we had less personal vehicles and more government vehicles. Now, our public transport. Now the public transport is, I think, will vanish after some time. That is what my feeling and this thing. And thank you for all these things, sir. Anybody else want to say anything before going for the nation vote of
Chairman
thanks?
Chairman Sahab, Sajjanar Garu is introducing public transport, and one day on Sunday also they are giving some concession. Government is planning, but we are not going. So I am
No,
planning.
what I am talking about public transport like bus service and because
Yes, sir, bus
your
service,
metro
Sajjanar.
is having, but metro is
No,
not.
sir, Sajjanar Garu, RTC MD, Sajjanar Garu is giving concession also on Sundays.
No, anyway,
I am
it
also-
is a big plan
Correct.
which is not in your hand or our hand or
no,
IE
sir.
hand. But
Government is
whatever
planning.
IE can do, we will do from our
Yeah,
side.
yeah,
What contribution we can do, we are always ready to do it. And
Yes.
like Shastri sir, we can take their advice and guidance. And
Yeah.
we will go ahead, sir. Shastri sir, hats up to you once again. And I thank you. I now request our Honorary Secretary, Dr. G. Venkata Subbaiah Garu, to kindly propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Chairman, sir. Respected Chief Guest and Speaker, Dr. PG Shastri, FIE, Director and Head, Learning and Development, Ramki Group, Hyderabad, Engineer B. Brahma Reddy, FIE, Chairman, IEI, Telangana State Center, Engineer G. Varun Kumar, MIE, Committee Member, IEI, Telangana State Center, and Convener of today's event, past Presidents, Council Members of IEI, past Chairman, past Honorary Secretaries, members of Telangana State Center Committee, SN Rao Garu, particularly who is attending this program from US in odd timings, IEI corporate members, distinguished guests, representatives of media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Telangana State Center of IEI and on my own behalf, I convey our sincere and profound thanks to Dr. PG Shastri, FIE Director and Head, Learning and Development, Ramki Group, Hyderabad, for addressing the gathering as chief guest and delivered the talk. Sir, I am very, very happy to see you, sir. I am alumni of REC Warangal. And in your lecture, I observed that there is no change in energy levels of your talk, sir. 30 years back, when you were director, when you addressed us as the director, I observed your energy levels. Same energy levels you have maintained even today also. Hats up to you, sir. P. Shastri Garu. I would like to express my gratitude to the dignitaries, past presidents of IEI, past chairman of IEI Telangana State Center, past honorary secretaries of IEI Telangana State Center, council members, committee members, corporate members, representatives of media and others who made it convenient to attend this event. Thanks to one and all. Now I request all of you kindly stand for national anthem. Mahesh, please start national anthem.
Jai Hind, Jai Tiranga.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Good night to everybody, sir.
Sir,
Good night,
thank-
sir. Saab. Good night,
Thank you
Chairman
very
Saab.
much, sir. P. Shastri Garu.
Good night అండి. Thank you.
Hanu Sethi garu, very happy.
Good night, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
పోయింది హను సెట్టి గారు గొంతు పోయింది.
Thank you, Venkat Subbai garu. Thank you.
Sir, అదే కోల్డ్ సార్, కోల్డ్ ఎఫెక్ట్ ఉంది సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ, రమణ గారు.
Okay.
థ్యాంక్ యూ,